brilliant. Okay, so we're doing this with the GBA BIOS. There's the first preview, Paragon 5. They were one of the developers for the game. Infinite Dreams was the other developer, and Jaleco Entertainment, or Jaleco, I'm not sure, Jailco? I have no idea. They were the publisher. Name setting, we scroll through the character portraits to give some speed and entertainment trade-off, pick a cart, and now we're on to the first race. So I'll just go through some general stuff here while the races are starting. There was one other port of this game apart from the GBA release. There was a port onto Symbian OS, which was, or actually specifically UIQ3, which was an OS based on Symbian OS. And the game is primarily known for its confoundingly weird box art and character art within the game. And however, was actually very well praised by critics, and hopefully this TAS shows that with its really crisp handling and just general very conducive gameplay to TASing. So, welcome Casual Poke Player. Thanks for stopping by the TAS debut stream. So this TAS completes the game's 4 seasons of increasingly more complex tracks and faster carts, as well as a bonus race against a mysterious challenger in 43 minutes and 36 seconds. Spoiler alert. The RTA records do not complete the 4th season for unknown reasons, leaving the RTA record at 40 minutes and 23 seconds. So that's the first 3 seasons of advancement through the game. The TAS completes that same section of gameplay in 28 minutes and 34 seconds. So nearly a full 12 minutes faster. The other comparison there would be we're only 3 minutes behind the RTA record for completing an entire 12 additional races and a bonus race that takes nearly 4 minutes in RTA. So, yeah, we actually complete the 4th season of gameplay faster than the RTA runs complete. Oh, there's our other speed entertainment trade-off for the run, running over a lizard in this, showing the blood splatter that you can get, which is very not E for everyone. This game was given an E for everyone designation despite rocketing and mining opponents' cars and being able to run over environment mobs is what I would call them, that are in the prehistoric season 1. Season 1 sounds like a prehistoric theme. They're just lizards or dinosaur-looking things. But in the later seasons, they're people, and you can run over people and get blood splatter effects. So, so we're completing this run much faster than RTA, much faster than all known records or long plays. To start, there's a couple other complex routing problems that happened even before you even start thinking about doing the races. So, I had originally wanted to do this task to showcase something called the Lepa mode, where a character named Mr. Lepa, who is your sponsor for the racing battles, he competes for himself, and there's this really like surrealistic dialogue where he is like you could have like his cybernetic portrait or cyberpunk portrait and be talking to the prehistoric version of himself. And I wanted to showcase that. What turned out though is that the Lepa mode cart that they give you is overpowered in season 1 and 2, but underpowered in season 3 and 4 compared to the high speed, high acceleration, low handling cart. So it ended up not being viable to do the Lepa mode and finish a complete task. So instead we're doing the normal mode, and we're using the fast top speed, fast acceleration car with poor handling. And also Another interesting thing there is the easy mode does not allow you to use that cart. So while the Lepa mode with the special Kalepa car can be played on easy mode, you cannot play Lepa mode and get the same practical effects for Season 3. Anyway, so moving on then, there's a couple other things. So the special Lepa mode is obtained by entering your character name as Lepa, L-E-P-P-A. There's 3 other special codes. There's actually 4, I think. There's one ID rules, which is the name Infinite Dreams. ID rules with a Z completely finishes the game for you. It just immediately unlocks all tracks. And then there's another one. I'll say there where you saw those crashes into the wall. Wall riding is beneficial in this game. So when you crash into a wall sideways, it does not slow your horizontal speed down. So there's many places where you'll see that we're hitting rocks. I try to generally avoid it for a lot of the tasks because the crashing sound isn't very pleasant. But there are many places where there's actually slight time saves because you get knocked out of the power slide animation where you hear like a ring as you're turning, and that will be constantly decelerating you while you're power sliding. So if you crash in the middle of a turn, it actually is often much faster than doing turns normally. Yeah. So as I was saying, there's 5 total cheat code names. One is the Lepa name, which I explored and is not viable. The others are all just pure content skips, so those aren't really viable either. The other ones that are not the ID rules one are Liga, and that's Season 1 being beaten. Liga 1, like Liga-1, and then and one with like Roman numerals, and then Liga 2 and Liga 3 are all cheat code names that will immediately skip you to respective seasons. So if you wanted to do a task that was just like beat the final boss race as quickly as possible from scratch, that would be, you would enter Liga 3 as the name, play Liga 3, and then go from there. Another interesting thing, though, is that the cheat name files don't seem to be heavily play tested. So the Lepa one, the character portrait, is actually corrupted in several places at the end of races. And also the portraits don't show being assigned to the correct racers when that happens. So that was something I found during playtesting. But yeah, moving on from all that, we ended up using the normal difficulty. Now, between the individual races that you win, you can buy engine upgrades and you can buy better tires, which let you turn faster, and you only have a certain amount of time turning before you will get that like tire screech power slide effect. And like I said, the power sliding decelerates you, so you don't want to be power sliding any more than you have to effectively do a turn. Like you can see there, that on that turn, I did several short stuttered turns to try to avoid the power slide effect. So we generally try to buy as many engine upgrades as we can first, and then the tire upgrades. Though I actually am not sure if the tire upgrades even really save enough time to be worth buying. That's something else that is going to be worth continuing to investigate in this game. Now, the other thing you can do between races is restock your damage meter, which doesn't really matter because you can easily control how much damage you take. You can buy armor, which again doesn't really matter because you can easily control how much damage you take. And then you can buy mine and rocket refills. The mines and the rockets are your main way of like slowing down other players, which actually does matter a lot because of how important it is to manipulate the placements of other racers in the races. So we usually want the racers to be placing in different orders every race to even out their points. because at the end of each season, you only advance to the next season if you tie or beat the highest point total of any of the opponents, which means that if you lose a race in last place, or if you immediately abort a race or skip, like quit out of it at the beginning of a race starting, and then for the next race, excuse me, if you immediately like skip or quit out of a race, and then the next race you win that race and the opponents all place in the opposite order that they won, everyone ends up with 3 points, and therefore you can effectively skip half of all races that you would normally need to win in real-time gameplay, because in real time you can't control the enemy placements that effectively, and the RTA runs actually are heavily based around like needing to reset over who places in what order. Now, another interesting thing there is the placements of the opponents are... The order is unknown in what rank they would place at the start of a season. However, if you have previously done a race, they place in the same order that you had. Like if you had won and then the other place below you, they will place above you in that same order if you quit the next race. So you have to be very careful, because the game, it's like a catch-up mechanic where they are constantly getting... Whoever is closest to catching up to you is constantly getting the most possible points to catch up to you if you are quitting races early, or you can also take so much damage that you fully lose your armor, and then you have to actually... you're forced to quit out of the race. And you can also do that to the opponents, but that's too slow to be relevant in TAS. So, yeah. So the point is, you can effectively skip half the races. Now, for this TAS, for seasons 1, 2, and 3, I didn't manipulate the points that effectively. I only was able to do that in season 4, because in season 4 you're more easily able to catch up to the opponents by lapping them, and then fire rockets selectively at opponents for manipulating the placements from there. But there is a quirk. You have to make sure at the end of the race, if you're trying to like manipulate the placements, that all of the opponents are on the same lap when they finish. If they are not all on the same lap, the opponents instead place in the order in which they are within their current lap. So it must be like whoever has completed the most checkpoints along the checkpoint system. The races have some sort of checkpoint system to make sure that you're following the appropriate path around the course. And if you don't, it will start screaming, "Go back" to you. Like you have to go back and cross over the missed checkpoint. So it's actually a quite bug-free experience overall. It probably is not completely bug-free. There are known skips. You'll see 1 or 2 here in this task. And also, what else was I thinking? The checkpoint system. This game hasn't been heavily studied. It's a very obscure game from the Game Boy Advance. It's pretty old at this point, so there's probably more like shortcuts that could be found within the races, but so far there are no known shortcuts beyond a couple of very quick like corner cutting things. I did find some more shortcuts coincidentally in the lunar space station. Like there's a shortcut there through the inside of that tree. For whatever reason, it doesn't checkpoint you properly around that corner. But yeah, generally otherwise... Oh, also, I thought this music is clearly ripping off the Mario theme. It's like the star theme from Mario. So there's some really interesting musical influences going on there. Okay, another interesting thing that happens in this game is the game has a betting system. So you're said to have a sponsor, Mr. Leppa, who's sponsoring your participation in these races. That was actually a really difficult one there, getting past those mines and not blowing them up. There was 2 mines laid side by side by the AI for whatever reason, so I had to sneak past them. But yeah, you have this race sponsor, Mr. Leppa, and he also sponsors you betting on the races, which normally you can't bet on on races that you're involved in. So some very sketchy things going on in this game. Also gambling, totally not for everyone these days. Oh, I love that bit. The AI placed a mine on the finish line, which allowed us to do this crazy fast, like, spinning turn thing right at the finish line. This is a rare one where we actually do one of the ice races. These ice races have different, like, kart mechanics in terms of the way that your kart power slides. So, like, your kart power slides very, very quickly when you start turning, and you have a really bad, like, big turning radius. So typically these like snow tracks are way slower than interesting. I missed a turbo there. That's an interesting cleanup thing I didn't notice. This race, I think, is one of the ones where you have to manipulate the opponent positions, too. So there's some tricky things going on with placing mines earlier, and that may be why that power-up was missed. Yes, there's a mine placement again. So, what was I talking about? Let me go back to my notes. Oh, yeah, the betting system. So there's a couple races where they're really short races, and we skip them anyway because it's helpful for a bet to force somebody else to be the winner. So that's another interesting thing. I think in a rewrite, you wouldn't really showcase the betting system at all. I don't think it's worth trying to really use. But there is at least one season where winning a bet makes it faster to get an engine upgrade. So if you were able to manipulate, like, you win the race to be the bet, and then have that bet be on it, that would be... Or the best one actually is there's a bet where you bet the exact placement order. If you could get that one to happen on the right point where you need to get money before buying the engine, but you also have money to place on the bet left over for after buying other... This is Bridges Jones. It's a tracks you never see because you skip it. And now we're on season 3. So yeah, each season has 6, 8, 10, and 12 races respectively. And hey, Ellie, welcome by the stream. Each of those seasons has 3, 4, 5, and then 6 unique tracks to go along with those 6, 8, 10 races, respectively 3, 4, 5, 6. But each race is done forwards and backwards around the track. So that's how they kind of add a lot of content for free by making it so you go both ways around each track. So I talked about the season order, like placement manipulation. I talked about running over the lizard, and then I think you actually could see the people on the, yep, there's people on the side of the track there. You can run over those people and create blood splatter, and that is totally not E for everyone. This game is so not E for everyone in so many ways. And yet, here we are. GBA game, E for everyone rating. Totally not E for everyone. Goddess Maria, welcome by the stream. Yeah, I mentioned how there's wall riding mechanics in some places where the game doesn't decelerate you for hitting a wall sideways, but it does punish you for hitting walls straight on. So there's places sometimes where you like power slide into a wall, cancel the power slide by hitting the wall, and then you can accelerate from there again and not be stuck in the decelerating power slide. Not too many places again where that actually is used, but there are a couple. Oh, I didn't mention the turbo too. The blue, it's called boost in the game's manual, the blue bar. And when you get boost, it's like a nitro. I think it's labeled T on the. There's like an icon. It says T, so it's like turbo. But it's called boost in the manual, so it's like turbo boost, I guess. You can see us trying to take relatively precise racing lines where we like go towards you go from the inside of one corner towards the outside of the next, and then take the inside to the outside, and there's a decent level of like racing line manipulation going on in the TAS, but it's certainly something to, you can see some very close encounters with the other opponents around these tracks that cross over themselves. This is where like I really think that there's probably shortcuts available, but just nobody's ever found them. Nobody's found these shortcuts. So yeah, we're on to season 3 here. I think we're even halfway through season 3. This is one of the shortest tracks. I think it's just called Karnaaj 700. Suddenly felt like you missed something. Yeah, I talked through a ton of the game mechanics already. This is Karnaaj Rally. It's a Game Boy Advance car racing game notorious for its box art. It just has one of the most insane box arts of all time. There's a mine placement to help with the enemy car manipulation. In the sequence after... Oh, yeah. So that is... Oh, check that out. We manipulate blue to be ahead of green and then pass afterwards. That's one where you have to wait for all of them to be on the same lap again. So that's why it looks so strange with us waiting so long at the end there. But yeah, this game has incredibly crisp menuing. The menuing is like 30 FPS, and all of the animation... Like, what happens basically is that your buttons are not disabled during screen transition animations. So like once the game has loaded all of the routines to like be able to change around, like move around the screen, you can just start doing it. You don't have to wait for the screen to fade in. So it looks crazy. Like all of the like menuing to buy stuff or change cars at the beginning. Like I don't know if you... I don't think you even do change the cards at the beginning, but like all of the dialogue where you like spam through talking to Lepa or the Challenger, like it's really fast. And that's another thing I should mention is that there's something that seems to be going on in terms of frame rules with some of the animations that involve like mashing through things, because at the end of a race, there's a bit where you can still control the car and drive around, but the race is ended. And if you press the A and B buttons at like in that period right before the game goes to transition, sometimes the transition happens a frame sooner. That I love that one. We shoot across, like from where we are on going up to where they're going down, to make one of the cars go further behind to manipulate how they place. You can see we really don't like the green car. And again, skipping the ice tracks, those are really slow. We have to do this track once. In a rewrite, we probably would never do this track. Like, if we could be completely perfect, figure out how to manipulate a really good bet where we win on Carnage 100, and then skip this one, like, that would be ideal. But I also haven't completely rerouted things around what I was talking about with the, like, four-way tie management that's possible. Because you advance seasons, like the, so I'll explain through again. Each of the, there's 4 seasons of different tracks. You advance between seasons by placing equal to or above the highest opponent's points total. So if all of the opponents are tied with you, you have a 4-way tie, you still advance as the winner of the season into the next season. So you can, if you very carefully manipulate how the opponents place, you can skip fully half of the races each season. Usually I hold the turbo boost. Like, I don't use it very much, except for when coming out of turns. Sometimes it's useful to like be able to accelerate faster. Yeah, the routing is actually crazy precise, because to do that, then you have to very specifically have them, like, every time you quit a race, you need to have one erase where the opponents place in the exact opposite order so that the points even out to be 3-3-3 across the 2 races. So, oh yeah, so I was saying about the turbo boost. The turbo boost accelerates you really fast and accelerates you above your normal top speed. So if you power slide, you decelerate. So like a perfect TAS of this would, like, every time you do a turn, would use the boost, like, nearing the end of the turn, boost out back to full speed, and then stop boosting again to conserve boost for more turns. So it's just wild how much precision is available in this TAS, especially because there's no known shortcutting behavior. This is just a really great game for showcasing what it means for something to be a TAS. Also, because of the opponents placing mines all around the course field, yeah, there's just like, there's a lot of positives to this as a TAS, in a game 2 TAS. I was saying very conducive to TASing. And you can see, like, the game mechanics are so weird. Oh, we barely even get to see Cyberpunk Lepa there. In the submission notes, after I get this up to YouTube and submit, I'll have links to a repository that shows some of the crazy, like, character portrait images that we don't get to see in the TAS. I'll try to get one, too, of the Lepa mode where he's talking to himself. I love the precise, like, this game's physics are really, really conducive to precise gameplay, and it's just amazing. It's so fun. It's fun even to task the cornering. We shoot a rocket at that guy to clear him out of the way. I don't think that one's even like so much manipulating the placement. We're just trying to clear him out of the way. So in that one, I don't know for sure, but I think the pink car would place last because they are the furthest behind on their lap, even though they are actually ahead of the other two racers. Because there's some bug with how it interprets like how to place the opponents at the end of a race. And yeah, we're on season 4 now, so this is the last season of gameplay, and then we have the bonus race. And all of the tracks have unique names, so I'll just go through them here. Season 1, you have Circle of Raptors, Jurassic Path, and Jurassic Path 2. Not to be confused with the other Jurassic Path, which is the reverse mode of Jurassic Path. Jurassic Path and Jurassic Path 2 are separate tracks. That's like the prehistoric themed season. And then season 2 has a kind of like Al Capone Prohibition theme. But I think the same portrait is used for season 3, and it's like a modern theme. So the season 2 and 3 are a little more ambiguously themed, but season 3 is kind of more like an F1 track, generic modern racetrack theme. Season 2 has Ancient Site, White Fields for the snow track, Dust and Tears, and then Bridges Jones. Again, both run forward and backward. Season 3 has Carnage 100, Carnage 200, Carnage 500. Oh, Frozen Lake first, then Carnage 500, and then Carnage 700, both front and backwards. And then Season 4 has Airport, Cold Winter, Urban Streets, Carnage City, Mad Curvy, and Eighth Element, which is it's Eighth Element because it's a figure 8 track. Which I think Eighth Element is what we're doing. Yeah, Eighth Element is what we're doing right now. And then the bonus race is against an unknown challenger. Unfortunately, we have to slow down there because the pink car is in our way, and there's not a really good timing to be able to shoot the pink car out of the way for that. Also, Season 4 is the one where we're the most precisely manipulating the opponent placements, because like I said, we have that 4-way even tie that allows us to still be counted as the winner of the season. You can see there we had to crash into the green car intentionally to even further slow them down to even out opponent placements. I'll just say, too, the graphics in this game are generally pretty great. The 3D effects, I feel a little iffy on. I think they could have done without the 3D, like, over effects. You'll see here, like, when you go over that, and, like, or when we go under that, like, those 3D things don't have any texturing, and it's very, like, off feeling compared to the 2D elements, like those planes that have texturing. I think if they did more effects that were like those planes, it would be much more effective than the large 3D objects that are untextured. The untexturedness just really is kind of an eyesore in comparison to the rest of the very polished graphics. Which is also hilarious that I'm saying polished graphics, because just look at the character portraits again. The character portraits are so insane. So this is airport, obviously, because there's the planes everywhere. And we're already halfway through Season 4 as well, because we don't do airport the first half. In Seasons 2 and 4, because there are, or actually, I think is it Seasons 2 and 4? No, Seasons 2 and 4 have even numbers of tracks. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In Seasons 1 and 3, you are forced to see all of the tracks, because you skip half of them, which means that you'll skip, or not. You're not forced to see all the tracks. You're forced to see one more track than you otherwise would skip. On Seasons 2 and 4, you can skip 2 of the races, and then is it 3? Yeah, you can skip 2 of the tracks and then 3 of the tracks entirely. But I didn't do it exactly that way in Season 4 to do the opponent placement manipulation slightly differently. This is one of the really fast tracks, especially in TAS. Casual Poke Player did help find some of the random addresses for this game. However, they don't seem terribly manipulable. You can manipulate the random addresses to give you... Or if you could manipulate the random addresses to give you boosts, that would be quite useful. You can see there having to wait to finish the race that Magenta finishes in last place. Then we skip Mad Curvy because Mad Curvy is the slowest track. Now this is 8th Element 2, where we're going 8th through 8th Element in reverse. By like Pokemon, do you mean like Pokemon, the only manipulating is trying to get more RNG calls in one place or another? Yeah. Yeah, so like maybe ending a previous race like slightly later or earlier. Yeah, so it's hard to, and like there's even places where it's not even worth going, like you can see there, it wasn't even worth trying to hit that boost because it was faster to just take the curve as like inside as possible. Yeah, 8th Element has this really annoying slalom curve at the top, which it's just a massive pain to task because you can't power slide all the way through it. Your car's too fast and you just crash all the time. So what I end up doing is I intentionally like ride the corners that slow you down. Like the track kind of has like a center that is like a certain top speed, and then if you cut the corner too close, it's like a different ground type, and you have a lower top speed on that. So it's fast there to take the corners that slow you down, actually. You can see we shot that guy from off screen. And then we have to wait for him to pass the lap so that he gets last place. Because if we were ahead of him, his position at the end of the race would be determined by where he is within the lap, which would put him in first. So we have to actually finish that race behind the green guy to ensure that he is placed last within the lap. Because of that placement bug I was talking about. There's a shortcut. That's a shortcut I found on the Lunar Space Station. This track is called Lunar Space Station. It doesn't show you that within the task, but if you go to the quick race mode after having beaten this track, you unlock it, and then it's called Lunar Space Station. But yeah, unfortunately, the Challenger isn't really that difficult in TAS. He just gets way behind, and you don't need to use weapons to get in behind. You can see another there. I think the wall crash cancels the go back there. I wasn't able to reproduce being able to skip around the top. Again, every other time I tried that, it gave me a go back warning. So something about crashing into that environment in combination with going above allowed me to skip the slalom. And you can see going through the slalom there that time was probably a tad slower than either the going under it or over it were. I'm guessing, too, that this Lunar Space Station is less play-tested because of it being the, final boss. And that might be why it has more shortcutting vulnerability. But yeah, still a lot of potential generally to find shortcuts in this game. Not much has been done to find them, so that's a big open, unexplored frontier here. And I think a time that skips races ideally could get up to 6, because it's 3 more races you could skip with perfect point manipulation of the first 3 seasons. So you could probably get a time down for this close to the 37 or 36 minute mark. Because also using an AI to do the races that understands all the game mechanics would probably also help a ton. This game is probably simple enough that you could script a lot of the race racing lines. And there it is, 3:31:62. And when you beat the Challenger, you say, "Mess with the best, die like the rest." Which is a quote from the movie Hackers, which is quoting the U.S. Marines. So, just an incredible game. Wanted to give it some love. And that's Karnaaj. That's Karnaaj Rally. So thanks everyone for watching on the stream or on YouTube. Thanks Illy, Casual Puck Player, Goddess Maria, everyone who stopped by.